On the afternoon of May 22, 2011, a massive EF5 tornado struck the city of Joplin in southwestern Missouri, United States. This deadly disaster swept through most of Joplin, killing 158 people, injuring over 1,150, and destroying nearly 8,000 structures, including most of the city's basic infrastructure. Total estimated damages reached $2.9 billion. But the truly strange events began after the disaster ended. A high number of survivors, particularly children, reported that when the storm hit, they saw a winged, glowing humanoid creature floating in the air or descending beside them, protecting them from the violent winds. According to Patrick Tuttle, director of the Joplin Convention and Visitors Bureau, who personally interviewed several people who claimed to have seen this creature, the stories told by the children were nearly identical to one another. Children with strong religious faith or deeply religious family backgrounds described seeing angels who protected them. Children without religious backgrounds described seeing butterflies or a butterfly person. Below are some of the most well-known and relatively complete eyewitness accounts. Before the storm hit, 10-year-old Mason Lillard and 14-year-old Gage Grisby were riding in a car with their grandparents on the way to a store. After their grandfather entered the supermarket, the tornado suddenly struck. The car, with the children and their grandmother inside, was hurled 300 feet across the parking lot and suffered severe impact damage. During the chaos, Gage was thrown out of the vehicle and suffered a serious head injury. His condition was so critical that when people found him, he was taken directly to the hospital morgue. Mason was trapped inside the car with a 1-inch wide metal rod pierced through his shoulder and could not move. Their grandmother was also inside the car, but sustained less severe injuries. Gage later regained consciousness in the morgue. Mason had 7 broken ribs and a punctured lung, but after surgery, both boys miraculously survived. Afterward, Mason recalled that when the storm arrived, he saw angels and felt someone touch his shoulder. He initially thought it was Gage, but when he turned around, he saw 2 figures in robes. One had brown hair and one had golden hair. He said that in that moment, he felt an overwhelming sense of calm. His treating physician later stated it was nothing short of a miracle. The metal rod had narrowly missed Mason's spine and liver. Any slight deviation in either direction, and he would not have survived to reach the hospital. Another woman named Laura Pina was driving with her son Daniel to go shopping when a tornado warning was issued. By the time they reached home, the disaster had already arrived. She immediately gathered her 7 children into a bedroom closet. Within minutes, the storm hit. Windows shattered, the roof was torn away, and the children began screaming. All Laura could do was pray, asking God to protect her family. At that moment, her youngest son Daniel suddenly pointed toward the shattered roof above them and cried out, "What is that?" He had seen a woman in a white robe using her body to cover the broken opening in the roof. The butterfly-like figure appeared to be communicating with him. This continued until just before the storm finally passed. When they finally emerged from the closet, they could not believe what they saw. Every building in the entire neighborhood had been destroyed, including the rest of their own house. Everything around them had been reduced to rubble. The closet where they had sheltered was the only thing left standing. Remarkably, all 8 of them walked away, without a single injury. This story spread widely because many other eyewitness accounts emerged under similar circumstances. One story published in a local newspaper described a mother and her 3-year-old daughter who were fleeing their car when the storm hit. They did not make it inside the house in time and fell to the ground, the mother covering her child with her own body through the entire storm. Both survived without injury. The little girl said she had seen beautiful butterfly people. Another account came from a 2.5-year-old girl who survived inside a car with her father. She pointed out to her father that there were butterfly people in the car with them. A 4-year-old boy was found in a field 6 miles away. He told rescuers that angels had carried him there. In the days and weeks following the storm, more and more children's stories about the butterfly man began to surface. According to American paranormal author Lisa Martin, at least 40 to 50 children described to emergency responders or doctors being rescued by the butterfly man. Without exception, they described the creature as glowing, with wings like a butterfly, hovering over them throughout the storm and shielding them from harm. But butterfly man sightings were not limited to children alone. A nurse at Joplin's hospital named Brianna Navarez stated that during search and rescue operations, She briefly noticed something unusual as she passed a mother and child sitting together crying among the rubble. She suddenly saw what appeared to be a large grey human-shaped figure standing behind them. She described it as grey in colour, extremely tall, wearing a robe, like an angel statue from a cemetery. As the story spread, the Butterfly Man gradually became a popular local urban legend, particularly in the disaster-affected areas. The people of Joplin came to believe that a being from a different dimension than humans had been present during the storm, protecting good and faithful residents. Donyell Robinson, clinical director of the Joplin Children's Trauma Treatment Center, noted that many children described seeing the Butterfly Man, or what seemed like an intelligent butterfly. They did not know what it was, but they knew it was there to protect them and calm their hearts. Gradually, the children's words became part of the city's story of recovery. The community recognized the need to help people process the horror of the disaster and heal their emotional wounds. Art activities began. Butterfly Man sculptures, mural projects, music, and eventually t-shirts, signs, and commercial activities followed. The Butterfly Man became a symbol of the city. Butterfly imagery spread to every corner of Joplin. Officially, the butterfly was said to carry deep meaning, representing transformation and rebirth. Shortly after the disaster, psychiatrists quickly concluded that the Butterfly Man sightings were the result of children's imaginations responding to extreme traumatic stress, a coping mechanism to help them process their emotions. Currently, the Butterfly Man case has not yet attracted significant attention from the broader cryptozoology community, but speculation online has been varied and extensive. There are three main theories circulating. Theory 1. Mass psychological phenomenon. This is the most widely accepted theory. It includes what is known as mass sociogenic illness, a group social condition in which physical symptoms originating from neurological disturbance spread rapidly through a population. Such outbreaks are typically triggered by environmental factors such as strange sounds or smells, suspicious individuals or objects, or the presence of others already displaying symptoms. Natural disasters can clearly trigger this kind of mass response. Under this theory, the Butterfly Man is a collective hallucination born from group panic, and the consistency of the descriptions may be explained by information spreading through religious communities and social networks before the earliest reports became public. Joplin sits in America's Bible Belt region, where evangelical Protestantism carries enormous social influence. Many people naturally interpreted what they experienced as angels. Children who had not yet formed a clear concept of angels may have identified the figures as butterflies instead. It is also possible that some children had previously seen or encountered butterfly-like imagery and projected that image under extreme stress, or that descriptions spread between children after the fact. However, this theory is not without its complications. Adult witnesses also reported sightings alongside children, and their descriptions were consistent. Additionally, in 2024, American filmmaker Greg Refish released a new documentary titled Butterfly Man, specifically investigating the supernatural being reported in Joplin, Nashville, and Kansas City. He tracked down original eyewitnesses and filmed interviews with them. According to the Canadian Medical Association Journal's description of mass sociogenic illness, this condition is temporary and benign, appearing and resolving quickly. But the original witnesses interviewed years later had not changed their accounts. By that time, they were adults, and they maintained that what they saw was real. Theory 2. Conspiracy. Some have questioned whether the eyewitness records are genuine at all. The earliest reported information about the Butterfly Man appeared approximately 7 months after the storm, a gap long enough to allow for the introduction of guided narratives into the minds of impressionable children. The motive behind this is unclear. It may have been to deepen religious faith in the community, or it may have been similar to other UMA sighting locations, laying the groundwork for a subsequent series of commercial activities centered around the legend. Theory 3. Supernatural or extraterrestrial. The third theory leans into mythology and the supernatural. According to this view, the Butterfly Man may be an extraterrestrial being, or a new form of life from a higher dimension. This theory draws heavily on the special status of butterflies in mythology around the world. In legend, butterflies have long symbolized death, rebirth, the return of souls, healing, and mysticism. The Aztecs of southern North America believed butterflies were the returning souls of fallen warriors, flying toward the sun to continue living and growing. According to Japanese author Lafcadio Hearn, in Japan, butterflies are viewed as embodiments of human souls. If a butterfly flies into a guest room and rests behind a bamboo blind, it means someone you love deeply is coming to see you. But large numbers of butterflies appearing together are viewed as an omen of coming disaster. In Greek mythology, the butterfly symbolizes the soul itself, embodied in Psyche, the wife of Cupid, who is typically depicted as a young woman with butterfly wings. The timing of the butterfly man's appearance aligned with elements of death. The soul and rebirth naturally gave rise to this theory. However, I personally find this explanation unreliable. Mythology must be understood in the context of early human cognitive frameworks and animal worship traditions. The extraterrestrial explanation suffers from the same problem. When I first encountered information about the butterfly man, my immediate reaction was how similar this case is to the Mothman incidents, except that where the Mothman represents disaster and doom, the butterfly man represents hope and protection. After watching several interview recordings, I noticed that most eyewitnesses did not actually describe wings specifically. They said they saw flying angels. In other words, even the butterfly characteristics, and certainly the specific wing details, are incomplete across the accounts. The one confirmed survivor named Emily only stated that after the disaster, a butterfly frequently landed near her, not that she saw a butterfly person. Most of the detailed physical descriptions of the butterfly man appear to originate from sensationalized media coverage rather than the witnesses themselves. So relatively speaking, I lean more toward the mass sociogenic illness explanation. Some of the accounts may even be well-intentioned fabrications, because after a catastrophe of this scale, people who have lost their homes and loved ones genuinely need something solid to hold on to. Something that heals the emotional wounds on a deeper level. Something that becomes a symbol of hope and motivates people to rebuild. And it worked. The butterfly angel became a defining cultural feature of Joplin, continuously injecting new energy into the city. Regardless of whether any of it is literally true, the story of the butterfly man is a good one. It helped the community come together. It gave children courage. It allowed people to see hope in the rubble. That kind of collective strength may carry more meaning than the question of whether the creature actually exists. This is also part of what makes exploring UMA worthwhile. Sometimes the significance is not just in what these beings might be, but in what they represent within a specific time, place, and human experience. May disaster never come again. May every family be safe. The above thoughts are simply my personal perspective. I believe that when faced with phenomena like this, phenomena that border on the supernatural, it is important to think rationally, while also maintaining a sense of reverence and humility. Leaving room for what we do not yet understand is itself an important way of exploring the world. As always, the unknown will always be greater than the known. That is the real appeal of UMA. That is all for this episode. Thank you for watching.